What's up, Towson University? My name is Stacey Coles, your host for What's Hot, and this week we're here to talk about the Vagina Monologues. And I'm here with the directors, Emily and Claire, to tell you more about the play. So, how would you summarize the Vagina Monologues?
A collection of true stories from women that came out of interviews that the writer did. Her name is Ensler, and they surround issues about women. Often things that we don't talk about. Some things are really funny. Some things are more serious about potential things like assault. But it's a collection of true stories.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add. That's perfect.
Yeah, and why do you think people shy away from talking about the female human anatomy, and why or why not, do you think?
I think there's a lot of, obviously we don't live in a society where men and women are equal, so I think that along with that comes kind of like internalized stigma and shame for some women, and I think maybe for like men to have conversations about it too, but I think we have this weird cultural idea that like the vagina is like super complicated, and it's like, oh, there's some weird parts, I don't know how they work. Like, I think for some reason we have that idea, and I really think it's just a lot of like internalized stigma and shame about it. And so I think the monologues are about a lot of things, but definitely one of the points or purposes of the monologue, part of its mission is to make people more comfortable talking about their vagina and their vulva and their sexual experiences or their coming of age experiences, and like whether they're positive or negative, kind of opening up that conversation.
Right.
And just saying the word vagina 1,000 times until everyone is used to it.
Get used to it. Yeah, I agree with Emily. It's very rooted in history that women are not really supposed to be sexual beings, that we're not really allowed to have our own goals about it, that we are supposed to be a little bit more submissive about it, as opposed to it is absolutely a double standard, and it's very rooted in history, and this gives women the chance to talk about stuff that they secretly really want to but can't because society is kind of weird about it.
So like leading off the double standard, why do you think men should learn more about the vagina?
Well, I definitely think at least part of it is if you're a man who's interested in women sexually, it's always helpful.
It's not
going to you're working with. Like, it's definitely not a bad idea. But I think that learning, I think we just need to be more like compassionate towards each other in general, and I think understanding some of the really difficult things that we don't talk about culturally, like female genital mutilation, is a thing that happens in many countries still, and I don't think people take it seriously. And so understanding understanding the basic anatomy, I don't want to say female anatomy, but understanding the way a vagina and vulva works and how that impacts someone's life and livelihood, I think is just one example of the way that it really is, it can be beneficial to the point where it can cause social change.
And I also think that some of the reason that maybe women feel uncomfortable about this stuff is because they think that men don't see it as an okay thing.
Right.
That they everything in the dark. Turn off all the lights, don't bother looking at it, don't go down there, it's gross. And I think some of that comes from the idea that we assume that men feel this way, which is not always the case.
Right.
And I think compassion was the absolutely correct word, that if there's just more communication looking at, the anatomy of either sex and, being comfortable to have that conversation is going to bring everyone down to the level of, oh, this is okay.
Right.
I feel beautiful and I think you are beautiful, and that there needs to be that connection between people.
Yeah. So the characters who play in the monologues typically, as you said, take away a new awareness. So as a director, what would you want the audience to take away?
I want them to take away shame. As in not just take away the idea of shame, but to physically take the shame that is surrounding this region and take that physically away, because that's where a lot of these issues spread from assault to just being uncomfortable. A lot of the monologues either begin with or have some kind of shame or discomfort associated.
Right.
And it's half the world is born with that anatomy.
Right.
It's not a thing that we should be ashamed of or feel uncomfortable with, because it's a fact of life. Do you want more humans? Because that's kind of how you're going to get them.
That's where it comes from.
You don't really have a choice.
Yeah, and That's good. And I think I would just add love to that. Like, I think in the
Yes.
same way, like, you want to remove some of that stigma and you want to remove some of that discomfort, but I also think that you need to be adding, like, compassion and love into the equation. And I think being able to get a more personal look, like, you can read all the statistics about rape and sexual assault and war crimes that you want, but unless you're really deeply trying to engage with a personal story, it can be hard to wrap your head around them. So I think, and that can be, I mean, it can also reflect in a positive way too, like, you know, talking about, like, maybe there are women who come to our show who have never had an orgasm before, so, like, hearing people talk about it and how important it is, like, understanding, like, getting to love your own
And
body.
then, hey, you're not alone.
Yeah, yeah. So
You're
I think
not alone.
adding. I mean, it sounds cheesy, but adding love into the conversation too, I think is
Absolutely.
really important.
It is. Yeah, I would agree with that a lot.
Okay, so now I'm gonna put you guys into character a little bit. If you were a vagina, what message would you want to tell society?
This is awesome because there's actually a part of the show.
There is.
Part of the interviews that the author did, she asked women if your vagina could talk, what would it say? And if your vagina could wear something, what would it wear?
Yeah.
I think that if my vagina could wear something, it would probably just wear, like, some really, like, deep purple red scary lipstick. And that's what it would wear if it could wear something.
And just
That's
that?
definitely what it would wear. And
Nothing
probably
else?
just that, honestly.
That's a statement.
Just that. That's a statement. Yeah. And if it could talk, I think it would say, "Be patient with me." I think if it could talk, that's what it would say.
Mine would wear probably some really messy jeans, because that's more or less what I live in my life, and probably a tank top and some of my favorite bomb-ass earrings. I don't know which ones those would be. Those would change daily, but I love my dangly earrings, so probably those and some messed up jeans. If it could talk, damn, that was a good one. Be patient with me.
That's pretty on the spot, but
Yeah, I think it would say, wow, yeah, darn it. I'm not weird. I'm exactly what I'm supposed to be.
yes.
I'm
I
exactly.
like that a lot.
I really like that.
I'm
Yeah,
exactly
that's
what I'm
excellent.
supposed to be.
All right, well, thank you guys so much for your time.
Oh,
Yeah,
actually,
no, thank
if we
you.
can we ask you what
Oh,
yours
yeah.
would wear and say?
Oh, let's ask you.
Now it's our turn. We're flipped.
If we wear a black dress
Yes, little
The
black dress.
classic.
Yep. Very.
and it would say, "I am more than physical."
I like it.
I
Love
like
that.
I like all of our answers.
Yeah, we I like that.
All right, well, thank you guys so much for your
Yeah,
time.
thank you so much. This has been wonderful.